Okay, so hi everybody. Today is Wednesday, June 5th. It's about 7 o'clock Central Time. This is day 3 of the 5-day Fitness Bot Challenge. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get going. If this is your first day here, welcome. We're going fast and there's a document that I'll share again in this chat here that you can have, and it's also available in my school group if you're in there. So let me paste this in the chat for everyone here. You can follow along. It's a free program. It's called Workflowy. It's amazing. Okay, so that's what I use to take notes. So everything's going to be in here. Real quick recap. We're using GoHighLevel and CloseBot. If you don't know what that is, you can use these notes and find out a little bit about them by clicking on the links. But they're mandatory for this course. We're doing it the fitness niche. A yoga studio. We came up with a name called HarmonyHatha.com, which you can see here on the right. It's live. We came up with some services using ChatGPT. We're going to have 2 different class types, which means 2 different calendars, which we created. And the channel is going to be a web chat widget. Like you can see here on the right at the bottom here, this little bubble. That's what our chat bot is going to talk in. That's what it's going to converse with the customer in. Okay, so to do that, we set up a really simple website and added a live chat widget, excuse me, and GoHighLevel. I'm not going to do anything really with the website other than maybe add a product page, which we'll do probably tomorrow, because our chat bot looks like this. This is our workflow that we created down here in wireframing. And what this is just a way for us to get a quick overview of how our bot looks and how it's going to act. And it's what I always do when I first create a bot. I'll zoom in, kind of goes, and you can use whatever tool you want. I use Lucid Chart. I think someone said they're using Whimsical, and then there's like Fig Jam. Doesn't matter. So essentially, we need to build a bot that asks for the name, phone, and email. If it already knows these values, we're going to skip those questions. Then the bot's going to ask what service are they here for, and they'll answer, based on one of the services we come up with, like hot yoga, yoga for children, whatever. We're going to have a knowledge base, which we're going to do today, that will teach the bot a little bit about the yoga studio and about a little bit more about what those services entail. Okay. And then it asks, do you want a group class or a private class? And based on this answer, we set a custom variable with one of 2 possibilities in it, which are the calendar IDs from 2 calendars we created in GoHighLevel. Again, this isn't a GoHighLevel class, so this is standard calendars with the permanent link IDs at the end, and we did this yesterday, so watch yesterday if you don't know what I'm talking about. And then with this variable that we created, which I'll show you again in a minute when we start using it, it's going to swap between the 2 different calendars right in CloseBot, meaning the conversational AI is going to conversationally book them. It's not going to show them a list of dates. It's going to say, hey, I've got, that they click on it. It's going to be like, I've got Thursday at 2:30. How's that? They can say, oh, I don't like it. And they can say, I have tomorrow at, 8 a.m. Does that work? Yes. And then it will go on with the flow. Okay. So once they schedule, let me add that this is what I call the happy path. This is if our customer does all the things we kind of want. We're not going to throw a lot of curveballs at the chatbot when we test it. We don't have time to do that. So this is if they want to schedule, they want to look at the classes. They're not telling it, no, I don't want to schedule. Leave me alone. We're not going to deal with any of those issues right now. We kind of did that in the 30-day challenge, if you haven't taken that. So it's a little bit more complex, okay? So once it schedules, because they want to schedule, it's going to say thanks. And then it's going to say, do you want to get some daily affirmations to your email or SMS? And then they're going to say yes or no. And based on if they say yes or no, we're going to do 2 different things. If they say no, we're going to end the conversation. And I'm going to turn the bot off. So I'll show you how to turn the bot off. Okay. And then they say yes to the affirmations. We're going to ask what kind of affirmations do they want? How do they want to receive them, SMS or email? When do they want to receive them? And then we're going to say thanks. And then we're going to ask them, do you want to buy a yoga mat? And then if they say yes, we're going to give them a link to the product page, which we have to create. And that's just a standard product page on GoHighLevel. I'm not going to get too much into making a product page. But if they say, no, I don't want a yoga mat, we're going to try to get the bot to ask them a few times. And are you sure? Are you sure? Here's a coupon code in order for them to be able to buy the product. Okay, so are there any questions before I get going and go flying? No. Awesome. You guys are great. Okay, cool. So let's do this. And then down here, and if you're sharing, I've shared this document. It's in this, it's right here, right? This lucid chart. There's 3 tabs at the bottom. Here's the affirmation bot, which we built as well. And this also asks the name, phone, and email in case you want to send traffic to the bot alone, but it's going to be coming from it's going to be routed from the previous bot. So I'm going to show you routing, and here's all those questions we asked, same thing. But the actual affirmation is going to come from a separate workflow outside of CloseBot in GoHighLevel that accesses ChatGPT directly. And then finally, I'm not going to do an abandoned cart bot, but we're kind of doing an abandoned cart type of thing, which means if they kind of, we have all their information, but they say, no, I don't want to buy the product, or they drop off, we can still kind of contact them to nudge them to buy the product. So we're kind of doing something abandoned cart-esque here at the end, okay? And that's about how much we have time for the next 3 days. Okay, so here we go. So I have my GoHighLevel site here. We're going to start building bots and workflows. So here's Harmony Hatha. Here are my bots. We created 3 bots. On the right, I have CloseBot. If you remember yesterday, we made a reception bot. If you remember, I had this lucid chart, kind of had these objective things here. Looks like this, right? Well, we kind of built the same exact thing in CloseBot. I'll email, service type, class type, booking, want affirmations, right? Same thing. Goes all the way to here. Want affirmations, right? And then we're using this want daily affirmations as what I call a handoff objective. In order for CloseBot to route between bots at the moment, the best way to do it is to ask a question in one bot, and then the next bot, that question is the first question. So the last question in one bot is the first question in another bot. And the reason you want to do that is because the person's going to answer the question here in this one affirmation in the other bot. So it allows the other bot to handle the answer. If that sounds complicated, sorry, but it just works, trust me. So this is our first bot, reception, and we said we want the affirmation question to route to the affirmation bot. So here's the affirmation bot. And if you'll notice, the first question is the last question from the previous bot. And that's in simplicity how it works. If you want a lot of different service types, it works essentially the same. You just have the first question of all, like if you're doing pressure washing and you have solar, garages, houses, each of those subcategory bots would start with the last question from the reception bot. So that's how I do it. That's my technique. I have a reception bot. Last question is the first question, and the route it in the next bot. Works great. Any questions on that? Does that make sense to everybody?
Can I just ask a quick question on that one? So you're kind of using that first question in the second bot, like instead of maybe a bot override message?
Yeah, it's the way that CloseBot works right now. And frankly, it's not the most optimal step. You didn't used to have to always do that. The thing is, when one of these, so basically when a CloseBot goes through these objectives and we've connected to GoHighLevel, I'm not going to get into this too much because it's kind of in depth. I did it in a couple of the other challenges, but if you'll notice, when you install the snapshot from the CloseBot site, which we did, there's going to be a field called goals accomplished. Okay. And goals accomplished is a field that CloseBot creates. And if you look at it, you'll see that it has all these field titles in here. And what do you know? They match the field titles from all these bots that are connected to this CloseBot account. And what that allows me to do is look to see if these are checked off essentially in a workflow in CloseBot. And then when you see me do routing, it would switch the bot, but CloseBot wasn't catching fast enough between the answer and the next question. So this kind of gives a manual pause for the bot to catch up with what with the successful response from the previous question, if that makes sense. Because it's all webhooks back and forth and back and forth. And sometimes one can go faster than the other. And that seems to be the case with routing between 2 bots, which you're going to see me do in a minute, and probably will make more sense. Okay? Cool. All right. So we're going to use this goals accomplished to do the routing. Okay. And amongst other things. So I'll show you how we're doing this. Okay. So real quickly, let's go through this affirmations bot. This is the last question from the reception bot's the first question. It asks these email, name, phone again, but this time it's, you know, it's going to skip the objective if it already knows it. So when the lead is routed to this bot, it's just going to skip these questions. But if you send a lead to this bot without knowing these answers, the bot will ask. So it's really convenient. And it's going to say what kind, SMS or email, what time, and then buy yoga mat. And if this is our affirmation bot, what kind, SMS or email, time or day, buy a yoga mat. I'm going to get rid of this. Okay, so that's the affirmation bot. And when I connect these and we start using it, I haven't even tested this thing yet, but I'm confident it's going to work. They'll work fantastically. And again, each of these objectives in CloseBot is attached to, if we have to make these fields for these two things, but like email, name, phone, they're attached to fields in CloseBot. That's how CloseBot can fill out contact detail, contact information, and form fields and set all different form types based on answers. Okay, and that's what we're going to do. So finally, after it does the affirmation bot, we want to do the yoga mat bot. So just yesterday, we finished up with the yoga mat bot. We didn't do anything with it yet. I think I just made a copy. Yeah, so we need to work on this buy a mat bot, the yoga bot, or the mat bot. Okay, and I know that also what we did yesterday is in CloseBot, these are the settings for the bot, if you will. This is the meta prompting, as it were, for how the bot's supposed to behave. We talked about this yesterday and the day before. And we added, rather than using the fields that come with CloseBot, it comes with default values, which you can edit, very simple. I added them as unique values in GoHighLevel, so you can just update it here, and it automatically gets updated here. It's a great technique to know because it allows you to scale and work with other clients using the same snapshots. I did realize last night, though, that I do need to tweak one thing. If I give you guys this, when I give you guys this snapshot, you won't have, since it's a custom value and not a field, you're not going to have this. This will be blank, and I don't want that. So I'm going to make custom fields really quickly for these 3 custom values and then replace them here. Okay, so I'm going to do this again so you can see how I do it. So I'm just copy this text for business info, and I'm going to open up a new tab for custom fields. So there's custom fields. This is custom values, 2 different things. Okay, so I'm going to add a field. It's going to be a multi-line to handle all this text. That's all you got to do. Hit next, and I'm going to call it business info. Put it in the fitness bot group just for purposes of categorizing. Hit save. Oh, no, I'm sorry. What you want to do is, so this pre-fill value here, I'm going to paste in what this was in the pre-fill value. So that'll automatically be filled in. And this is what you want to edit for you or your client. Okay. So let me do this one. This is how to respond. Multi-line, next. How to respond. Pre-fill value is this. It's in the fitness bot group. One more. This is the, why is this conversation happening? This tells the bot, what is its purpose? What is it there for? Which it likes to know. So multi-line, why happening? You can call it whatever you want. Put it in the fitness folder. Pre-fill value, not placeholder. Placeholder is like gray. It just kind of gives them a suggestion of what to type. We're not going to show this as a form. So pre-fill. Save. Okay, now we have these 3 fields. Let me erase these. We don't need these. So I'm going to delete this. So I'm deleting the custom value. So when I make the snapshot on Friday, you won't have this in here and it won't confuse you. So bear with me for a couple seconds longer. Okay. All right. So now you won't have these. And then what I need to do is I just need to get the values for these 3 things I just made. So I'm going to copy this fitness bot. So why happening? I'm going to copy this value, use the simple copy button. I'm going to go back to this bot here, and I'm going to have to do this on all 3 bots, but that's okay. This is bot making. So this is why happening. So that's up here, paste, and then I'm going to copy how to respond, paste, and then I'm going to do business info. Oh, sorry. Business info, paste. So it just replaced these mustache variables. Okay. So I have to do this in the other 3, but I'll do them when I go back to edit them. I'm not going to do it right this second. Okay. All right, let's keep going. So we were on the buy the bot or buy the yoga mat, which we don't have it. We didn't really. So the yoga mat, buying it is going to be simple. This is the whole bot here. This is like all the bots together. I'll call this all the bots. Reception, etc. Okay, so we're over here. So want to buy a yoga mat. So that's coming from. So we go to our affirmations bot. So the last thing the affirmation bot asks has got to be the first thing that the next bot asks. And while I'm here, real quick, let's just get these values back in. Why happening? Oops, let me make this a little less wide. Why happening? Copy. How to respond. And business info. Okay, save that. Okay, so the last question, the last objective in affirmations is buy a yoga mat. Okay, cool. So I know that in our buy a yoga mat, I dragged that because I duplicated the previous bot to make this bot. So I just dragged the last question, the last objective over to the first. So we can get rid of this stuff because we don't need any of this for this bot. I'm not going to do name and email and things like that. You could if you want, but I'm not going to do it. I just want to make a simple bot. Okay, so buy a yoga mat, and then the next question is, so if they say yes or no, we got to do two different things. So if they say yes, very simple. This is going to be, we're going to do a different type of objective. We're going to do this objective here, the give info objective. All this does is give info. It doesn't ask, you don't have to ask a question. It just kind of ends there. And is useful for giving links, doing things like that. If they respond, the bot will keep going. Now there's nothing after this. So essentially, unless I turn the bot off, it's just going to act like a general purpose bot and answer their questions about the yoga studio, which is fine because I'm not really paying too much for it because it's coming through this live chat widget. So I'm only paying my, OpenAI and CloseBot fees for the demo. So I don't really care too much. So here, this is going to be give link. Say thanks. Say great. And if you put something in quotes and literally tell the bot to say that, it will say that. So that's what I'm going to do. Say great. Here is your link. And then in the extra prompt, we'll start doing this. We haven't done this yet. I'm going to do link, colon, and we'll just say like, I haven't made the link yet, but for now we can just do whatever. And I'll just pre-make the link. How about that? Hatha.com/Matt. Okay, cool. So that's the link that we want, that the bot's going to give them. And that's going to be the end of this bot. Okay, so I'm going to save that. Any questions? I'm going to keep going faster. No? Great. Okay, cool. So now finally, let's finish up this bot here. We need to add some fields still to make all these bots work. We haven't even tested this yet, but I'm pretty confident it's going to work well. First try, maybe second. So let's see. Yeah, so I need to change this real quick, and then we're done. So why is the conversation happening? Just to use the custom field, so when you guys get this snapshot, it won't be broken. And you now know how to do this for sure, because I've done it a bunch of times. Okay, cool. Save that. All right. So the reception bot is hooked up to everything. And there's one other thing we need to do before we continue, before we can drill down to the last two bots. And we need to do one thing because I said we were going to do it. And that's this knowledge base, which is over here. So what I mean by the knowledge base is this knowledge base is going to just, in an external file, we're going to do it really easily I'm going to make a fake text file. You could have it scrape a website. There's a lot of ways to do it, as you'll see. And then each bot will know the same thing. If someone asks about the yoga studio, actually not if they ask about the yoga studio, because we're telling them a bit about that in business info. We're going to talk about the different services. So I need to know the different, I need to ask, I'm going to have ChatGPT write this for us. So I need to get, someone's got me, oh, there, Luigi. Okay, cool. So I want to basically have ChatGPT make me a text file. I need to create, and I'm in ChatGPT 4.0 right now. I need to create a knowledge base article for, oops, spelling typos don't matter, which is nice with the bot, but I change it. I need to create a knowledge base article for my yoga studio. My keyboard is away from my screen at the moment. Sorry, that's why I'm typing so poorly. I need to create it for yoga studio. It is meant, here are the different services I offer. Here there is our service. Please elaborate on them so the bot can answer most questions about those services. And then I want this in one prompt. So you got to hold shift return. So if you hit return, it's going to shoot the prompt into the bot, the chat GPT. You don't want to do that. I like to, there's a lot of ways to separate what the bot's looking at. I like to do this. So the bot knows that these are the services I want. I'm going to type in services. Okay. Let's see what it does. Memory updated. Oh, wow. That's so amazing. I know this is new, but this is incredible. Got memory now. The bot's got memory. It's getting real. All right, this is a very simple knowledge base we could use. So I'm just going to copy this text. And in CloseBot, there is a knowledge storage option on the left for every bot. Every bot has the same button. Doesn't matter what you're in. So there is no knowledge article. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to create a simple text file. You could also have it scrape a website. But my website isn't very detailed. This fake website we created, it doesn't really talk about the different, that many different things that we offer. So I'm going to make a text file. Oh, see, the reason you're seeing all of these files is this is my master account. So you're going to see all the knowledge files that are in there. So that means that any other bot can share any knowledge base article. So that's really cool. It's a way to train your bot in a more efficient manner. So I'm going to call this one Harmony Hatha. Whatever. That's all I need to call. I'm going to paste this text in here from ChatGPT. Okay. And since these are different sizes and these are headings, it'll know that these are different sections. Andre, what's up? Andre?
If if the information isn't there, do we have the opportunity to send the bot to ChatGPT and go get the answer?
Good question. So what you're asking is like in the objective, can you have each objective look or something? Like if you give it a website address?
Yeah, well,
No.
sometimes,
The answer is no. And the reason is because that full prompt is only 500 characters. So it's
Okay.
only going to be able to, it may not, first of all, he's not using ChatGPT 4.0 for CloseBot. So it doesn't have web access like that, I don't think. However, I do know that in the main prompting, you can put a website in. Like you can put your website in for the business information, except it's only going to be it'll be truncated at 1,500 characters. This allows you to bypass that limit and use the same knowledge article everywhere in any bot you want.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. So we're going to load these. We're going to load the knowledge storage into each bot. So here's my reception bot. All I got to do is click on knowledge, click on the article, and hit save. Sometimes it doesn't take on the first save. See? So do it again. Don't ask me why. It just does. Okay, cool. And it says it takes like 10 minutes to apply the resource. I don't know if that's totally accurate or not. So then I'm going to go to my next bot because the reception bot I think is done. Everything has fields associated with it. Except we need to do the routing. Okay, so we need to do the routing. All right, this isn't totally done. Cool. So service type goes to the services custom field, which we created the other day. The class type 1, group or private. Booking is this calendar ID variable, which we talked about. We need to make the workflow for that. We'll do that in a bit. Then want information. So now let's go to the affirmation bot. Let's add the knowledge storage. And how I'm working right now, I mean, this is kind of how you work if you're an agency and you're building bots for other clients. As you go, you're just adding and tweaking and you know, you want to, sometimes you want to get one bot perfect so you can just duplicate it for the bot you're going to route to, but you can't always do that. So going back and redoing things in all the different bots is just the nature of the beast at the moment. If you're wondering how this little tedious work I'm doing, it's just how it is. So now I'm going to go to the yoga mat. And click Harmony Hatha, save that. Okay, so now the knowledge base is attached to all the bots for just Harmony Hatha. Cool. Okay, so now I also know that we need to finish up the reception bot in a couple areas. So we're going to start busting out into so now what I want to do is I want to deal with this calendar ID. Okay. So in here in our sub account, I'm going to go to workflows or automations, and we're going to start making some custom workflows here. Okay. So when you get the snapshot, you'll get these two in addition to this CloseBot folder. Okay. So I'll create this workflow and we'll call this one calendar router, calendar switcher. I'll call it tool calendar switcher. I like to label my workflows with like tool or just kind of a general title for what it is, because I may have a lot of different tools like a reset tool or a routing tool or whatever. So this will be the calendar switcher. So all we got to do here is simple. So basically, once we find out the class type, which is a field, and this is not a GoHighLevel tutorial, unfortunately, so I'm not going to get too into, you know, the nitty gritty of what I'm doing here, but just know that I'm creating these workflows that utilizes all the elements in GoHighLevel, and we can automate them, look for changes, do things. And they start with triggers, or you can send contacts into workflows, which you'll see. But for now, I'm going to add a trigger, and the trigger on this is contact changed. Okay, so I want to find the field class type. There it is. So when it has changed, all I'm going to do is look for this. So I'm going to look for when it has changed. I'm going to save it. Okay. And I'll title this a little bit better for you. Class type field changed. That's the trigger. Whenever that field gets changed, and it gets changed by their answer, they're going to answer group or private session, and that is going to determine what the class type is, and it's going to change the field. And that's what triggers the automation to do something. It's very, very, very powerful. Unbelievably powerful. This is why you want to use CloseBot. I mean, sorry, GoHighLevel. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it up a notch. I'm going to add an if-else conditional. And we're going to call it calendar switcher. Calendar router. Let's switcher. Okay. And now the branches are one branch is going to be private sessions. And the other branch, well, I got to do the variables first. So the private sessions, all I'm going to do is, let's see, calendar switcher. I want to do, I'm looking for types, contact types, which is, you got to go here. So it's kind of challenging. Contact details. And here's all the fields. So now I can search for it. It's class type. So this isn't, again, I'm not going to teach you how to search this, but you just search through all the fields on each contact. So, but other than that, it's pretty simple. So if the class type is, and here's the two options, right? Private session, that's going to be one branch. And now I'm just going to duplicate this. And if the class type is group class, it's going to be another branch. And you're going to see what I mean. And I'm going to label this so you can see. Very simple. Very simple. So now here's this private session group, a private session, column, and the group class column. So the workflow is going to route and only go down one path. So this allows you to do routing and all sorts of unbelievable stuff, right? So down the private sessions path, very simple. All I want to do is we need to do two things. I need to get the calendars. I need to get the calendar permalinks, which you do by this. So I'm going to need to get two different things. I'm going to need to get some data here to make this work. And this works all the time. So all I got to do is I want to update a field. We're going to call this update calendar ID, which is a field we created, remember? Okay, so select field, calendar ID, and I want to set it to the permalink of each calendar. Okay, so this is going to be update private calendar ID. So I'm going to go to my private class calendar, click here. I'm going to do share. And all I got to do is, it's kind of weird, but I don't want to grab these last characters, alphanumeric characters after the word booking / those characters are called your permalink. See, permanent link. I don't need the rest of this stuff. I just need these last digits and characters. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it into here. And I'm going to save that action. And now I need to do the same thing for the group class calendar ID. And to make it easy, I'm just going to duplicate this action to the group class column. So when it goes down group class, it's going to essentially do the same thing. Except I got to change, this ID here to the right permalink. So in the calendars, I'm going to do share. And I'm going to grab this smidgen at the end here. Copy manually, right? And then I'm going to switch this. Boom. Okay, so now I'm going to publish that. Make sure you publish your workflows and automations. I'm going to save that. So what this is going to do, when this question is answered by the lead, it's going to change that field. And then it's going to set the variable that the booking objective is looking for to book and look at the right calendar. That's it. Any questions? I'm going to go fast. I'm going to keep going faster and faster. Okay. Oh, Andre, is your hand still up or is that from previously? Thank you, sir. All right, cool. Let's go. So, all right, here's this amazing thing. So now we still got one more objective to do. Want information. I don't really care how this objective on the bot that it's going to be routing from, I don't care what it's linked to. It doesn't really matter because the next bot is going to get the answer. Remember we talked about this is that handoff question. I'm going to go right to the next bot. The affirmations bot. And I know that we need to do some things here to make this work. So let's do that. So these fields are attached to the right. These objectives are attached to the right fields. We need to add a few fields here in GoHighLevel. So let's do that really quickly. So what kind? I don't think I did that. Kind? No, I didn't do that yet. So I need to go here to settings, custom fields. Yeah. And I only want to see opportunity details, fitness spot, fitness spot. Okay, so there's not, I didn't do anything. Fitness spot, fitness spot, services, class type. Okay, cool. So I'm going to add a field and it's going to be, this is a list. They get to choose from 3, remember? They get to pick. So this is going to be kind of affirmation type. Fitness spot. And I need to enter some options. So one affirmation type is going to be wellness. And we're going to use this in ChatGPT to write the affirmation. Wellness, yoga quotes, yoga position of the day, or yoga position of the day. Let's make sure what we're talking about. I can't. We're not going to guarantee the bot doesn't repeat these, by the way, but chances are pretty slim. Let's say general wellness because that's like maybe what the default will be for people that don't know the answer. And we could say, we'll have a thing called, surprise me. Never spell surprise. Surprise me? That's not right. Jeez, surprise me. Okay, cool. So I'm going to save these affirmation types. I need to make 2 more fields. Add a field, and it's going to just be another drop-down list. Will work. I'm going to do affirmation channel. What channel do they want? SMS or email? SMS, email. Then one more. What time? So there's going to be 2 options or 3 options, maybe. Affirmation time, fitness bot, and then so morning, afternoon, evening. This is just a technique. You can change these to be whatever you need. All right, so now we have those. Okay, so now let me refresh this bot real quick so it can find these fields. And we're gonna hook it up. Okay. All right, cool. So affirmations, objectives. All right, we got to deal with the yes, no answer for want affirmation for want affirmations. That if they say no, we haven't dealt with that yet. We will. So what kind is going to go to affirmation type? And what type? And SMS or email. This is affirmation channel. And this is affirmation time. By the way, sometimes you can't see all the way to the bottom in this pull down menu the first time you use it. So if you open and close this extra prompting down here, which we're not even going to get into, we're not even going to get into, you'll see more of the pull down menu. Sometimes you can't see the bottom one, but that's how you fix it. All right, cool. Close that. Save. All right, so now okay, cool. So now let's deal with this, yes or no. So I'm only going to have it ask if they want affirmations twice. Let me think here. I want to do this. Bryce had a cool technique for doing the affirmation. So you know what? Because we're doing the happy path for this bot, I'm not going to worry for this second about dealing with the no answer, because if people are saying no, then whatever, then they'll just leave the bot and they've already gone through the reception bot, so whatever. They've already made their appointment, right? So you can sell them later. We'll assume everyone's going to be happy and say yes. So I'm not going to deal with this at the moment because it requires a separate workflow and there's multiple ways to do it. So we're going to skip this, but everything else looks good. So buy yoga mat is the first question here. I don't care about, there's the last question here. I don't care about the answer. Let me save this real quick because it's the first question of the next bot, which we're routing to, right? So let's do that. Buy mat. And then here, buy yoga mat. Thank them and tell the refrigerator. Oh, wait, that's the wrong one. I said, should be, this was, look at that. That's weird. Oh, this bot isn't connected. That's why. So when you go to a bot that you just set up, you're like, what's up? Where are my fields? It looks kind of wonky. If I go to integrate, I don't think I integrated this bot. I didn't. So let me integrate this bot. And also do the OpenAI key. Okay, so this is Hatha, Harmony Hatha. Okay. All right, cool. And then let me just paste in my key. So now this will be, now when I refresh this, you'll see that the fields are back and it looks normal. But it's not automatically connected when you duplicate a bot. You have to reconnect each bot. Okay, cool. All right. Now let me just refresh this bot real quick. Okay. So now we're on this bot. Thanks, want to buy a yoga mat. Okay. So in the objective, in the objectives here on this first one, buy a yoga mat, we're looking for a yes, no answer. So if they say, I only want to ask them like 2 or 3, I'm only going to ask them 3 times. I'm going to add some extra prompting here to this long question. This question is a little too long, in my opinion, but you can this main prompt can be this long. So we're asking, thank them and tell them their affirmations are on the way. Then find out if they want to buy an official Hatha yoga mat. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is in the sub prompting here, I'm going to say, if they say no twice, offer them a coupon code for 15% off. And then code is, you can be like namaste. And then on GoHighLevel, we'll have a little coupon code thing where they can enter namaste and get a discount. Okay, cool. And we'll deal with the no response to this tomorrow. We'll deal with no's on Thursday. I don't want to deal with no's on a Wednesday. Okay,
Josh,
cool.
how come that's not a give info objective right there?
Because if they say yes, I'm asking them a question. I find out if they want to buy a yoga mat. So I'm not going to set a field, but I do want to ask a question. I want to add attempts to it. If you do a give info, it's less robust in the settings too.
Okay.
Frankly, give info is, to me, a newer feature. I learned how to do all this without a give info, because a lot of times people put give info steps between two objectives, and I don't understand, like, it won't move until the lead responds. The bot's not going to tell them something, and the person's just going to sit there waiting. It won't respond again. So sometimes, most of the time, I have to have my give info already ask a question anyways. I'm just not recording the answer anywhere, and it's irrelevant. I just need them to respond. So there's a lot of ways to do that too. Like, say okay question mark, and they'll go okay, and then it'll keep going. So give info, I use it at the end, like what you're going to see me do here. That's how I do it, at least. But there's lots of other use cases for it. Okay, cool. All right. And we haven't tested this yet even. So we're going to test this, and then we'll make more tweaks, right? So if they say yes, we're going to deal with no tomorrow, because it's the same no here and no on the affirmation. So when I show you how to do no, you'll know how to handle no. Okay, so now if they say yes, it's going to give them a link. It's going to say, great, here's your link. And here's the link, harmonyhatha.com/Matt. And this is just, now the difference is look, give info, there's no other settings on it. So I can't have a sensitivity. So whether if it's the answers, the sensitivity setting, I don't really ever touch it, but you can set that high if you want the bot to make sure that the answer is exactly right. Not just like generalizing, like, are you here for a haircut or a shave? And if someone says, oh, I need my, I just want to trim, if it's a low sensitivity, to say, okay, they want a haircut. But if it's really high, it's going to be saying, do you want a haircut or a trim? There's a difference, right? To it. So I'm not going to deal with sensitivity. I don't care about max attempts, and I'm not updating a field here. So that's why I'm using give info here. But again, there's other use cases for it, and feel free to try different things. Okay. So I'm going to close that, and I'm going to save this puppy. I think we might be almost ready to start testing. I think we should start testing. We haven't tested in 3 days. Okay, so let's do some testing. And we're going to do simple testing. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to make it more fun. So on my Harmony Hatha, I've got this live chat widget here. Shrink this down. So I've got this live chat widget here, right? And I don't like it because two reasons. One, let me do it in an incognito window. So when you're doing live chat, since it's kind of new to CloseBot, and adding the live chat functionality to this live chat widget with GoHighLevel that connects to external sources is also relatively new. So for the moment, in order to keep seeing a lot of changes, you need to look at an incognito window because it caches strangely. I talk about it in other chatbot challenges. So if you want to know more details, go there. But to solve that, because I'm testing this, making a bot is like 20 to 50% of the work. The rest is testing your bot over and over again. We're just doing happy paths, so I'm not going to test all these possibilities, but testing is huge. So to test live chat, I like to do it here. So if I do Harmony Hatha, when I open up this live chat window, it's going to be a freshie. Now, I know that I don't like how this is behaving. I don't want it to say certain things. It's going to work because I connected it. But as you see, when I try this initially, it's going to respond to my initial input with a GoHighLevel response. So we'll turn that off later, but I'm going to say hi. And it should go right into, actually, no, I have no routing. So what this is going to do is this is going to only go into, it's not even going to go into the reception bot. Let me show you something. So in order if you have a multiple account with CloseBot, you got all these bots. If you only have the one bot, it's your default bot. Okay. And whatever that number is, that's what CloseBot is going to look for unless you tell it otherwise, which we need to do because I've got dozens of bots. So we know that we want it to go to the reception bot for Harmony Hatha. If you have lots of clients, here's where we're going to start editing the CloseBot file. Okay. So in the automations, we haven't done anything with these CloseBot automations. Remember, I said we're going to get into this a lot once we start doing routing. Here we go. So routing is here in this process message. And the way this works is simple. Based on the reply channel, meaning how did the lead reach out to you? Live chat, WhatsApp, Facebook, etc. Yes, step 1 is similar to this in CloseBot. Disregard step 1. It's kind of legacy from previous iterations. You only need to worry about the step 2 process message, okay? So these are the incoming channels. And here's how this works. If there's a tag that comes with CloseBot called AI off. So if you have a contact and you don't want them to get contacted by the bot, you just add the tag AI off, either manually or with a workflow, which is what we're going to do for when they say no. But so all this does is here's one of these if-then conditionals. It says if the tags does not include AI off, meaning isn't it in there, then go down this on path and talk to CloseBot. And all CloseBot talking to means is send this webhook to this address. And what that means is that if you ever use a site that has an API like CloseBot, GoHighLevel hits it by what's called a webhook, and it sends what's called a JSON file, capital J, capital S-O-N, that contains some variables. And these are the built-in variables. Here's the ID for the contact. Here's the goals finished, which has to do with those goals accomplished we talked about. So as those goals accomplished gets checked off by CloseBot, it knows that objective is complete and goes to the next one. Okay, so that's how that works. And the message is the message body. So we need to add something to this. We need to add bot, and then the ID number for the bot. For the receptionist bot, it is 10843. 10843, and I like to do this. I like to do webhook, and I just put in quotes 108 or in parentheses 10843, and you'll see why when we start routing this puppy. Okay. So right now I'm going to save this. Don't forget, make sure it's published. And then so what it's going to do is it's going to go down this path. It's going to hit this webhook, and that'll get the bot talking to the customer, and it'll just keep going in this loop forever. Every time they respond, it goes boom, boom, boom. And we're going to do some routing maybe tomorrow. I think we'll get to it. And then the next thing it does is there's extra workflows that come with CloseBot. So you don't need to mess with these, but there's this follow-up one day. So basically, every time the bot responds to it, it puts them in this queue. And this is advanced. I'm just showing it to you. It puts them in a queue where if they don't respond in a day, it says, hey, remember me? And it tries to get them to respond in a day automatically. It's really kind of cool. So it allows the bot to keep engaging with the client, and it really helps with lead gen. The other tool is this reset contact. You don't need to worry about it. Override message is important. We're not going to get into it, though. I've talked about override message in my other classes. I'm going to get rid of this workflow. It's a non-important. It doesn't need to be there. It comes with the snapshot, so that's a mistake. Okay, so we're in process message. And then we're down here. So when I test this bot, it's only going to go to the reception bot. I'm not going to be able to route it, but that's okay. We'll do that tomorrow. Let's see how it works. So I've got my incognito window up. I'm going to say hi to the bot. I've got this workflow going. I have the bot set to be the right bot now. Okay, or else it would have gone to my default numbered bot, which I do not want. I'm going to say hi. See, GoHighLevel says this stupid thing. We'll change that later. Because it doesn't take a minute. It's like quicker. So usually, like I said, we'll take off the powered by Rosenthal marketing, but you could have this on the chat widget if you want to like give away the live chat widget for free to a customer. Say, hey, here's this free thing. And then it will, you can brand yourself, or you can remove it if they're paying you. So here we go. So the bot asked me, let's go back to the reception bot so you can watch it in action. Okay. So here's the flow, and now we're going to start using the dashboard for the bot. Okay. So as I chat with this bot, if you go to the dashboard, each bot has a dashboard. It'll show what's going on, right? Look, here's me saying hi. And then here's them. Then here's hello. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with, right? So you can see the bot chatting. Everything happens here. So when you start troubleshooting a bot, this is where you do it. We're not going to get into that in this class at all. But if you click on an answer or click on one of these entries, which is a conversation either from or to the bot, there's all these different settings. You can see exactly what the bot's doing, what's happening, here's the look, here's this library that we put in there. So I know that the bot knows about our library. Here's the goal that it's on in the objectives, right? So this is advanced, but if you're ever wondering why a bot said something, this is where you look for that. Okay. So now let's respond to the bot. Hello, who do I have the pleasure of speaking with? I am Rosenthal. And again, I'm not going to try to trick it. Okay. Now this doesn't automatically update this thing here, so you got to refresh it, but that's okay. Global settings, if you're curious. So basically you can turn all the bots on or off. So if you're an agency and you just want to turn them all off or something, you can do that. allow model fallback. So this is new. And what this means is that if CloseBot is having trouble reaching OpenAI, it will now actually fall back to Anthropic. But so it's two different LLMs, large language learning models. So that's cool because sometimes one fails and then the other one will handle it. So it's a cool new thing that he added. I wouldn't mess with this. And then here, when you send out messages, you'll see that you have a credit with CloseBot that comes with your account. And usually that's more than enough credits, but sometimes it runs out. So you want to be able to autofill those credits because this didn't used to exist until like 2 weeks ago. Your client or you would be like, what's going on? My bot's not responding. It's because you ran out of credits. This is not OpenAI credits, okay? This is CloseBot credits. I'm not going to explain that at the moment, but that's what that means, okay? So let's go back to the dashboard because I'm talking to the bot. Actually, let's wait a second. I'll keep talking to the bot. So here it is over here. Hi, Josh. Can you please provide your phone number? That's right. We asked for the phone number next, right? So I'll say, sure, my number is 312-94834. Yeah. I think it will, if you type in like too many digits or too little digits, sometimes it seemed to have noticed that and asked you to do it again. Sometimes it doesn't. I'm not 100% sure if that's a GoHighLevel thing, like it verifies that a phone number is the correct amount of digits and stuff. So I again, happy path, correct answers. Okay. Get your email address. Sure thing. Email address. And if you don't enter a right email address, I think it'll come back and say, hey, you didn't, that's not right. That's not a valid email address. Not valid in terms of it doesn't exist, but hey, it's like if I did Rosenfeld Marketing CCM, it wouldn't work. Okay. So the bot's going to go all the way through. Let's go to the dashboard real quick because now it's responded a few times. So look, oh yeah, I got to go to my bot. So just be aware this menu changes from time to time. So that's why I made this title really obvious for me. I don't ever use this default bot. So I want to go down to the reception bot. And you'll see all this conversation happening here. Boom, 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 right? You can see the different goals getting checked off. The phone was done, name, all this stuff. Okay, so now it's asking me what type of service do I want, right? Which is right, because we are in this objective. It's gone through all these objectives. And now we are on service type and class type. So let's see if it works. So that's what kind of service do I want? I could say now, since we have a knowledge base, I could say, tell me a little more about your kids' classes. So ChatGPT will BS because I didn't tell it much. It doesn't know anything. So let's see how far it tells people what to do with their kids. I'm always shocked. So it's going to respond to that, but it's not going to fill out the list that we created. It's not going to choose one of those items because we didn't answer the question. I have max attempts off, so it's going to keep asking again and again until this objective is handled, which is what makes CloseBot so great. Look, our yoga for kids classes, blah, 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 blah. What age group are you interested in? So you'll find that the bot asks some amazing questions. So I want to make sure that you didn't tell it to, and you're not recording it either because it's not being saved to a variable. So I want to make sure that I put in here a note that at the very end of this, we want to make a summary email to agency owner. So basically, we're going to make, when all this is done and the conversation's over, I'm going to have ChatGPT summarize the whole conversation because CloseBot saves the entire conversation, and it'll summarize the conversation to let the client know what their customers, answered and what they said to them. So it'll be really cool. Okay. So let's keep going. So here's this here. Our yoga classes focus on this. What age you're interested in? I'm going to say 4 years old. And again, I didn't tell the bot to ask this, so it does kind of, I don't know if hallucinates the right word, but that's what they say it is. And it hallucinates really well. Like it asks amazing questions that you don't tell it to. So, and it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't record the answer, but it does record the conversation. So we're going to summarize it, show it, have it available, and you'll see that you'll gather everything. So I'm going to say 4 years old. This is probably young for yoga, but maybe not anymore. I want to get it to keep moving here. So I'm going to answer a question. I noticed that we're all booked up. Interesting. So I went to booking, and the reason this isn't working, we went right to booking, which is, so I get it. So we need to, so this was kind of asking what kind of, it asked its own question. Watch. So if I go to the dashboard, this is where it's not working. So I need to go to the dashboard and see what just happened. So since actually I just noticed we're all booked up now is orange, I know that there was some sort of error. It didn't break it. It still sent the message, but something didn't work. And I already know what the problem is. Okay, so here, it had an issue with, it used my answer of 4 years old to set the service type. I want a class for kids. And then it was asking me this question here. It didn't really ask me for this next thing here. The next question on that was supposed to be like, do you want group or private classes? So we got to tweak that a bit. We'll fix that. And since the custom variable wasn't set properly at the time, it didn't know which calendar to use. That's why this error happened. Okay. So here's booking, and I can see that it's on that attempt. Okay. So troubleshooting is pretty advanced, but I kind of need to close it up for the day. I want to open it up to questions. Real quick, the summary, I suppose, 1 second. Where we stopped is, we have our bots all set up. I like to do, as much of the work, about 80% of the work I can to get it set up, because we did, in fact, have a flow chart to work from, right? So made it a little bit easier to do, faster. We need to do routing tomorrow. So we're going to have I'll show you how to route from bot to bot. And really, it's going to be routing from bot to bot. I'll make notes. So we're going to be doing tomorrow, and I'll change this every day. Routing bot to bot. Handling no. That happens in 2 places. And then we need to test. I need to fix the receptionist bot class type objective. Okay. And this is where, most of the time, a lot of it works really well. Some of it doesn't. So testing, test. Happy path. Okay. So that's what we'll do tomorrow. Happy path. Not birthday. Happy path. Cool. So that's what we'll do tomorrow. And then all we got to do is the product page. So we just have to do the product page real quick for the yoga mat. And we need to do the summary email. This isn't all in one. Oh, we need to do the affirmation writer. Woohoo! That's a lot to do. Okay, cool. All right, sorry. Are there any questions, thoughts, concerns, comments, suggestions? No one? Okay, cool. Well, thank you for coming, and hopefully I will see all of you tomorrow. Tell your friends. It's going till Friday night, and I'll have this recording for today up tomorrow. The recording from yesterday is up today in my group. So again, if you have workflowy, the link's at the top to the group. Everyone have a great Thursday. I'll see you tomorrow night. Bye. I know it's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday.